Right, I'd like to call the meeting to order.
You'd say yes.
Trustee Doman. Eight Squel, CM Nasiea, Aishkwalawan, Kwana Silam Nala. We respectfully acknowledge that this meeting is taking place on the lands of the Halkominum speaking people, specifically Kwamitsan Village. The board is honored to be able to collaboratively walk beside the Quwitsin, Malahat, Sabasis, Halalt, Penelakut, Stamatus, and Lyaxan peoples who have cared for this land for thousands of years. May we walk gently on the ceded and unceded territories of their lands as we work together to lift up all of the Hahaspadam. Adoption of the agenda, please. Moved by Trustee Sousa, seconded by Trustee Lise. All those in favor? Thank you. Approval of consent agenda. Moved by Trustee Cross, seconded by Trustee Thorne. All those in favor? Thank you. Minutes of the January 9th, 2024 open board meeting. Moved by Trustee Thorne, seconded by Trustee Lise. All those in favor? Thank you. Secretary Treasurer report, closed meeting, please.
Thank you. The board met for 1 hour prior to this open session in closed. They discussed personnel, facility, and contract items. They concluded the business.
Thank you. Action list, Mr. Sandquist. Looks like everything is completed.
I'll bring it up to the screen. Yes. The board has now received all of the information that was required to make a decision around the closure and disposal of couch and secondary. So those items are now completed, and that decision will be made in the future.
Thank you. Superintendent of Schools, 8.1.1, please.
Great. Thank you very much. I will have an exempt staff update. Darcy Hoff has been appointed as a temporary director effective February 1st of last week. Moving on to 8.1.2, principal and vice principal updates. Attached on page 21 of the agenda package is a list of all principal and vice principal assignments effective February 2024. Vanessa McDowell, principal of Maple Bay Elementary, has been appointed as interim principal of Couch and Secondary effective February 1st. Michelle Bradley has been appointed as principal of Chemainus Elementary effective February 26th. She is one of the successful applicants to the principal pool. Brenda Lee has been extended as temporary principal at Chemainus Elementary until February the 26th. We would like to thank her since she's in the room today. Thank you, Brenda. Lindy Thompson will join Brenda Lee as the temporary vice principal at Chemainus Elementary until Michelle's arrival on February the 26th. And Nicole Davey has been appointed as temporary principal at Maple Bay Elementary effective January the 31st. That is all on in your agenda on page 21. 8.1.3, principal vice principal pool update. The internal and external expression of interest seeking candidates for elementary, secondary, principal and vice principal pools went out in December. Interviews were being held later throughout those weeks. Successful candidates will be in the pool for a 2-year term. There will be a public announcement coming out later this week with the names of the successful candidates.
Thank you.
And then moving on for board information with regard to kindergarten registration. On January the 19th, kindergarten district program lottery for Ecole Cobble Hill was held at the district office. All kindergarten registrations from Nova Nature School and Ecole Mount Brevoux were able to be placed, so those kindergarten programs did not require lotteries. And there was currently a waiting list of 9 students for Ecole Cobble Hill. I don't know where that list looks like right now, but that is the only school with a waiting list. Moving on to regular kindergarten registration, it took place from January the 22nd to the 26th. We had district projections for district kindergarten registrants of 503. Presently, we have 341 students registered for kindergarten. We know that that's just a preview. We know there'll be more registrations, but I think that 341 is looking very promising for our projection of 503. Any comments or questions before I move on? Okay, thank you very much. 8.2.2 on page 22 2 is a revised list of graduation and year-end events. Please note that the date of the Open Learning Graduation Walk-Up has changed to June the 25th, 2024 for both Seabolk and Satellite sites and the Grove. So that has been revised to June 25th. So if you were planning on attending, please change that in your schedule.
Thank you. And is there anywhere where trustees need to RSVP to either Tracy or Claire to let them know which
Yes,
graduation?
I think it's always important to do so that you would get saved beautiful front row seats and the ability to maybe even present a speech. And I know that some of you have done that in the past, so it would be great to do so. And then also, I think this month trustees will be receiving a memo inviting them to be guest judges at our secondary schools district scholarship presentations. Dates of the presentations are to be determined, but are usually held during the month of May.
Nice.
So that memo will be coming out to all of you, and so please take a look for that. All right, and I'm going to move on to Superintendent's Update 8.2.3. We do have a couple photos, but hold off on Jason for a second, if I could. Okay. I'd like to acknowledge all of our school secretaries. They've been busy with kindergarten registrations, supporting parents, students, and staff while doing so. They are the first face that I think some of our families will see in our schools. And so a great job to all of our amazing secretarial staff out there who welcome our students and our families. I also want to do a bit of a shout out to our transportation and operations staff for the snow day on January the 17th, but I think that there was more than just one day. There were a couple of those days, and so they did a great job in terms of clearing off the sidewalks, supporting the staff and the students on their return, and also our bus drivers who did an amazing job working through getting our kids safe to school on those 2 other days that were on opposite sides of January the 17th. And then this is where our picture comes in, because on January the 18th, when South End buses were canceled due to ever worsening weather conditions, students who use busing to transfer to Duncan and the central northwest areas were bused to Cowichan Secondary if their parents were not able to pick them up from the South End school. Students stayed at Cowichan Secondary until the regular bus pickup. So here's a little photo of our elementary students.
Were those your kids?
The first 2 in the yellow jacket.
So they were transferred there, and there was only, I believe, 6 or 8 of them. And so I really want to do a shout out to our Cowichan Secondary staff administration who received those children off the bus and waited for the parents to come and pick them up. And I know that it was probably a very scary afternoon for all of them, and so so appreciative of our bus drivers who did that transfer, so appreciative of our principals and our vice principals who made that happen. And so it was done with agility and flexibility and with great ease, and so hopefully our elementary students survived that afternoon. So thank you for that. I also have just a couple more photos. Gravity Cars Finals. The district Gravity Car Finals were held the morning of Thursday, January 25th at the Vancouver Island Motorsports. Congratulations to all of the participants. The board chair and myself, along with some other district staff, were in attendance. It was such a great day. We had 3 winners, and you can see them in the picture there. The 2 taller young ladies, they were from Chemina Secondary. If you recall, grade 7 goes to Chemina Secondary, and so they were the winners of the race. And then the 3rd young man came from Ecole Cobble Hill. So those were the 3 winners. Myself and the board chair, we were able to also choose the most aesthetically pleasing car. And so we chose that car, and so the 2 young ladies were able to ride in the race cars around the track, and so they were very excited to do so. Those were the 2 winners, one of the race and one who created the most aesthetically pleasing car. So a great day at the racetrack for all of us, actually. And then moving on to a Catalyst update. Catalyst is a place that we provide additional opportunities for an enrichment program across the district. So on April the 10th, a Wednesday, at George Bonner Elementary School, students in primary to grade 9 will enjoy the challenge and fun of the district chess tournament. Now, due to space limitations, there will be no spectators during the tournament, but we are all welcome to attend the medal event and celebration at the very end. More details about specific timing will follow. Secondly, we'll have a drama challenge on Thursday, May the 2nd at Quamitchin School. Students in grades 4 to 7 will show off their improv and skit skills in a district drama challenge. Teams of 4 to 5 students from each school will have a chance to perform an improv or a pre-planned skit, and students in grades 10 to 12 from Cowichan Secondary Drama Program will be the judges. Spectators are welcome, and more information will also follow with regard to that. I also want to alert the board around international travel. We have 2 trips that you have already approved and it's planned. The International Student Exchange, Lyon, France, from March the 9th to April the 6th. Our students will be going to actually Lyon, France. And if you recall, in the fall, students actually came to our schools. And then we also have an educational tour from Cowichan Secondary School to Spain and France. And that trip will be from March 10th to the 21st, coming out during spring break. And then I want to highlight a French immersion teacher recruitment grant. Make a Future was granted funding from the Government of Canada and the Province of British Columbia to support the recruitment of French teachers for public schools in British Columbia. All school districts were invited to apply. Our district applied. Congratulations to HR Jen Christensen, and we received a $34,000 grant for French recruitment to be spent as follows. $16,000 for marketing, advertising, and career fairs, $10,000 for candidates and new hires, relocation expenses and signing bonuses, as well as $8,000 for 2 French practicum students and their living expenses. So, great shout out to our HR department for achieving that recruitment grant. There's a number of things happening during the month of February. French Immersion Celebration Week. The province of BC is proclaiming this week of February the 4th through the 10th as French Immersion Celebration Week to acknowledge and celebrate French immersion student success, as well as the contribution of French immersion educators. So if you're out and about and want to congratulate them, it would be about that week. Black History Month. February is Black History Month across North America, which is a time to reflect and learn about historic and modern contributions of Black Canadians. A great thank you for recognizing that this is Black History Month for the teaching students the importance of respect, inclusion, and honoring diversity across our school district. Also, Inclusive Education Month. So February is the National Inclusive Education Month in Canada, a time to promote and increase awareness about inclusive education. At the Cowichan School District, we are always looking for ways to support students and staff with diverse abilities. Part of that commitment was a consult on and creation of our Cowichan Valley School District Accessibility Plan, which saw parents, union members, and staff come together to look at accessible needs in the district. And the plan was a result of that work. You can find the plan and a number of other resources on our website. We have a non-instructional day coming up on February the 16th, and it is for teacher development. And so that particular event is an in-service and put on by the teachers for the teachers. Family Day, of course, is Monday, February the 19th, the statutory holiday for Family Day. We have Pink Shirt Day coming up on Wednesday, February the 28th. Pink Shirt Anti-Bullying Day this year. So just a reminder to possibly look forward here for that day. And then I want to let the board know that 3 administrative procedures have been revised. We have revised AP 213, Student Support Services and Programs. And so now it has been renamed Inclusive Learning Services and Programs, and a new AP is now in alignment with current practice, district and ministry guidelines. We've also removed the appendix, which is no longer relevant, and we've also revised our AP 213, District Use of Technology. Letting the board know about that. We have some upcoming meetings happening here, February 8th and 9th in Vancouver of this week, all superintendents meeting and our partner liaison meetings. We also have the Principal and Vice Principal's Pro D event happening on February the 16th in Parksville. And I think that is all of my updates from the superintendent's report at this time.
Thank you. Any questions for the superintendent? Seeing none, For board action.
All right, for board action, 3.1, as you're all quite familiar with, at the BEBC, former Associate Superintendent Cheryl Pors did a beautiful job in providing a great overview around the fact that we're going into a 3-year calendar. And so there are some limitations. I think she's described that to the board rather well. We look across province to see where everyone else is doing their particular spring break. So we have it there for you to consider as a board. And it really is around the engagement consultation process with our community. So you can see that an action there for the board is that the Board of Education approves the proposed 3-year 2024-2027 school calendar to go out for consultation with our community.
So we have an action on the table, moved by Trustee Croft, seconded by Trustee Sousa. Any questions for the superintendent? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Superintendent. Secretary Treasurer.
Thank you. This evening I have 2 action items. They both relate to the budget. One to this year's budget that's concluding with the amended, and the second with a document that will help guide us as we prepare the 2024-2025 annual budget. So just moving along, the Board Education and Business Committee 1 week ago heard a detailed analysis of the changes that had occurred between the annual budget that was adopted last May and the budget as it sits today. It very much is a tune-up. It changes for a variety of reasons. Generally, it's enrollment-based and inflation-based and decisions that the board makes. So there's a briefing note in your package that you're on the screen. This bylaw is required to be submitted to the ministry by February 29th, 2024. So the Minister of Education has called for an amended budget, which is part of the School Act. And so we started out the year with a budget of $126,431,654, and it has grown to $132,123,567,000 for a number of reasons. Funding was greater than projection, so there's about 53 additional learners than what we had projected, and there were significant changes in the number of designations, particularly related to level 2. When we did the original budget, we hadn't yet received any funding for exempt staff and principal vice principal wage increases. So that funding came in and the expenses came in after we had adopted the budget. The board, in response to those additional designations, added an additional 12 education assistants. Those have been implemented into the system. School Messenger, after all the power outages, we have begun the implementation of the new School Messenger program, and that's been added to the budget. A big one is it's like having bills due that haven't been paid yet. When we finish the financial statements, we often restrict some of the surplus, so schools know that as their supply rollover or learning resource rollover or funds that are targeted, such as Indigenous education, if we haven't spent them all, we have to carry them over to the next year. So there was about $1.3 million in funding that came out of last year's budget, or last year's financial statements, that got put in this budget. So that is in here now as well, and it gets matched with a surplus component. Funding for teacher remedy. So we weren't allowed, you're not allowed to budget for remedy because the province doesn't want to assume that there's going to be any. Of course, you know, there will be based on the composition and cost sizes that we have to be meet in the school district, but it comes in the amended budget, not in the annual. There's a 10% increase to school-based supply allocations that's included in this budget, and that's a response to 2 years of significant inflation, likely well in excess of 10%, probably closer to 13 over the last 3 years. So we're responding to that as we noticed that schools struggled quite a bit last year in that area. And benefit rate increases, in particular WorkSafe. We're seeing the effects of a high volume of claims, although they are short duration. They do end up coming into our experience rating and have resulted in about a $200,000 increase over what we had originally thought. And there's the new maximum CPP contribution rates that have come in, and they're partially implemented this year. We're going to see a lot more significant impact in next year's budget in relation to those. That's a new cap or new upper limit, where it used to be that individuals who reached $63,000 in income would be finished paying their CPP premiums for the year. Now that has gone up to $74,000. There's a second tier to ensure that additional premiums are collected from some of the higher income earners. And that's most of the teachers. So now we'll see that, that additional premium that they'll be paying and the board will be paying coming into the budget. And then we had to utilize a little bit of the unrestricted surplus with about $121,000 more than what we ended the year with to make this whole thing balance. So in the package, you're provided again with the guided tour, which is to try to take all of these complex financial schedules and put them into a document that helps understand what's in here in sort of a layperson's document. You view this at the Board of Education and Business Committee, but I provided it here for the public record as well. And then we come right down to the actual bylaw, which you can see that all these nice pictures and descriptions are a lot easier to understand than this. So this is the bylaw. It is consolidated. It is our capital funds. It is our special purpose funds. It is our operating funds, all consolidated together. It is a budget bylaw in the amount of $132,123,567,000. You can see the breakdown there of what is operating, what is special purpose, and what is capital. So, you know, we are at a significant operating budget now of close to $110 million at the conclusion of this year. So there are a series of motions. The first one, I think the first one, the undebatable one, is the motion to give first reading. Then there'll be a second. We'll be asking to waive the requirement for 3, or we'll have to come back before February 29th. And then the third reading of the budget.
Before we get to the bylaws, trustees, any questions? Sorry, Mr. Sanquist. I would just like to say thank you to you and your staff for doing an amazing job and keeping us financially on track. All right, so we have some motions before us that the Board of Education of School District 79, Cowichan Valley, gives first reading to the 2023-2024 amended annual budget in the amount of $132,123,567. Moved by Trustee Thorn, seconded by Trustee Croft. All those in favor? Thank you. That the Board of Education of School District 79, Cowichan Valley, gives second reading to the 2023-2024 amended annual budget in the amount of $132,123,567. Moved by Trustee Lise, seconded by Trustee Sousa. All those in favor? Thank you. That the Board of Education of School District 79, Cowichan Valley, considers giving 3 readings to the 2023-2024 amended annual budget in the amount of $132,123,567 at this meeting. Moved by Trustee Thorn, seconded by Trustee Sousa. All those in favor? Finally, that the Board of Education of School District 79, Cowichan Valley, gives third and final reading to the 2023-2024 amended annual budget in the amount of $132,123,367. Moved by Trustee Kraft, seconded by Trustee Sousa. All those in favor? Thank you, trustees. All right. Secretary Treasurer, budget guiding principles.
Yeah, just need to fast forward here. These were also brought to the Board Education, Board Education and Business Committee, BEBC. There was an amendment suggested, and it was around adding the S, so it's developed on the principles of equity rather than on the principle of equity. It updates the previous year's budget guiding principles to include intentionally targets funds towards resources aimed at increasing Indigenous student graduation rates. So that is the new one. It remains highlighted in red, so it stands out. And these are brought forward at the start of all of our budget meetings to remind the board of the principles for which the budget will be adopted. So here for, they're recommended by the Board Education and Business Committee with that one minor adjustment, and they're here for consideration for adoption.
Trustees, any questions before we get to the action? Seeing none. That the Board of Education of School District 79, Cowichan Valley, adopts the 2024-2025 budget guiding principles. Moved by Trustee Doman, seconded by Trustee Thorn. All those in favor? Thank you. Upcoming meeting schedules, trustees, if you've taken a boo, is there anything missing? Yep, we have a very exciting DSAC budget meeting coming up. That will be great to talk to our kids. And so hearing nothing, no correspondence, new business. Mr. Sanquist, do we have anybody online today?
We have one staff member, but we would also ask our gallery if they have
Absolutely, I was just checking online.
one staff member.
Okay. Is there any questions from the gallery? Hearing none. Motion to adjourn. Moved by trustee Doman, seconded by trustee Lizet. All those in favor? Have a great evening, everybody. Thank you very much.